Hey, welcome back. I've got a new video I wanted to do, and I know it's been a while. I've just been a little bit busy with my family and work, and I figured I'd jump in with a continuation of getting into Warhammer Fantasy, and I was going to look at the Battleforces today. So these got announced a couple of weeks ago, I think, maybe a week and a half ago, something like that. And they are something Games Workshop does every single Christmas time. They put out these Battleforces for 40k and for Fantasy, and they're filled with minis to go with an Age of Sigmar faction in this case. And because Age of Sigmar is based on Warhammer Fantasy, there is a lot of stuff in here we can use. I'm just going to go through each of these boxes and kind of give my thoughts on how you can use them, if possible, and whether or not it's probably even worth it. One for sure is, and there's a couple that it might have value. I don't know. It's down to personal preference, I think. So the first one is the Cainite Slaughter Coven. This one here is Stark Elves. And I think you could use this. But I don't know if it's a good value for a couple of reasons. Overall, the box, I would say, it comes with 5 units, which are 10 witches, 5, I think they're called hex. What are they called? I forget. Anyways, these riders, they come in 2 forms. They have these ones and dark riders. And then you get these half dark elf witches, half harpies, and you get some like snake ladies, and you get a big altar of Cain. So if you were going to use this in Warhammer Fantasy, as it stands, this one's kind of a mixed opinion. Obviously, you can use witches, and you can use the Altar of Cain, at least as far back as 4th or 5th edition. So that wouldn't be an issue. And if this is the complete kit, and they haven't pulled anything out, which I doubt they would, this one here is also Dark Riders. Again, I forget what these are called. They're like Coven Riders or something in 8th edition. But basically you can run either of those units as long as all the sprues are there. But in 8th edition, worst case, you could use these ones. The altar, yeah. So the Altar of Cain and the witches and the riders, those are all usable. These ones here, these flying witches, I think you could probably just use them as harpies. I really don't think it would be an issue. If you told me these were harpies, as long as they were on the right bases, I mean, I wouldn't care. I think people would have to be being pretty picky about it to care if that's how you deployed your harpies. So I don't think that would be an issue either. It's really just these ones here. I don't really know what you would do with them. I guess you could technically use one as like a Medusa. But I mean, unless you're going to take a lot of Medusas, I don't see a reason for them. And I don't think you'd ever take more than one Medusa. And that's only in 8th edition, I believe. I don't think there's anything else they would work as. So I feel like you'd be best off just selling them. Every box tends to have like a couple of units you can use and like a couple you need to sell. This one's pretty good because there's really only one unit I think you would have to sell. If I was going to say one downside that really stands out for this box is that it's not a usable army. This would just be sort of an expansion to an existing Dark Elf force. It's not like it's really going to get you a lot. It is very few models that are usable. Only, what is that, 21 models out of the 26. If you were going to do a Dark Elf army and you knew you were going to use witches and you wanted harpies and you wanted some riders and the altar, I mean, this isn't bad. I'm assuming you'll get most of your money back on these because they're just new on sprue. Maybe, you know, sell them for the sticker price of a new box minus maybe $15 or something. Put that towards another box of something else. Not terrible. I mean, I think you could do that and make that work. Moving down, you got these guys here. These are Oryx, but they're like the new ones, the Cruel Boys. I'm sure you could use them. I just don't think this is a very usable force in Warhammer Fantasy. There'd be a lot of questions of how you'd be using it. Like, I guess this could be a count as Wyvern. this could be maybe a count as Arachnarok. I don't know how you'd really use this. I mean, you just get a few green skins on foot afterwards. I would pass on this one if you're looking to get into fantasy. And frankly, I mean, in my opinion, this is something I'd pass on even in Age of Sigmar. I mean, there's like no models in this. This one here, it's not great. This one's terrible in my opinion, just because it has so few models. I would like to get models in my big once per year releases, and this one here, having these two big models really ate into the value, so I think that's the problem. They should have only done one of these. Yeah, like I said, this one here I'd pass on. I don't think there's any value to it. Again, maybe if you're an Age of Sigmar player, you would know better. In that game, it's maybe good, but for fantasy, no. The Stampeding Squigalanche is the best named box this year, and it's not terrible. I think you can mostly use this in Warhammer Fantasy. These guys are available at least in 8th edition. I think there might have been at least a White Dwarf rule for something like this, Big Squigs or Forge World or something in previous editions. But if you're going to play 8th edition, you could use both of them. I'm sure worst case this could be like a counts as giant spider if there isn't an option for the orcs to ride a giant squig. I don't think there is. And then you get some squigs. And honestly, I mean, I'm pretty sure if you just based all of these together, you would just get a ton of squigs, which is a fun unit. I mean, I don't think it's a very good option. Again, you're not getting a lot out of it. You would get a couple of Mangler squigs and maybe a unit of, 20 squigs. So, I mean, that could be fun to play, or at least add to your existing army. I do think you could use everything in here, so that's a bonus. It's just going to be down to basically, do you want that many squigs? And everyone's a little bit different on that topic, I think. Now, this one here is the best one, in my opinion, because everything in here is usable. If you don't play 8th edition, these probably you would just sell, get most of your money back on them, and put that towards more clan rats or something. But this is a really good starting force if you're interested in playing Skaven. If you build it as a Screaming Bell, you will get 40 clan rats, 40 plague monks, the Screaming Bell with the Grey Seer. The sprue also includes the ability to make a plague monk on foot. Technically, you can make 2 plague monks, I think. No, just 1 plague monk, just 1 plague monk. But then you also get a warlock engineer. And then again, you get these guys, the Storm Fiends. That's a really good starting force for Skaven. They are, if you run these as core, I mean, that's 1 good sized unit of clan rats, or even 2 small units of clan rats to start with. I would just say 1 big unit of clan rats, 1 big unit of monks. You've got 3 characters. 2 characters. No, 3. I'm right. The first time I was right. 3 characters. With a warlock engineer, the plague priest joining the plague monks, and then a Grey Seer on the bell. And I mean, end times are what they are. They're controversial in the Warhammer community for pretty good reason. But these are neat. I think these are models we would have gotten with the 8th edition Skaven army book. So regardless how you feel about the end times, I do think these would have been inside the Skaven army book regardless. So yeah, just get the rules for them, run them as they were, or just run them as, you know, extra big rat ogres, I guess. But yeah, no, this one here is great. This is the best one because it is an army. This is a boxed army. It's pretty, you know, one-dimensional, but it's a really good place to start with so many options that are viable. These are all good. Moving down, you get the Legion of Grief for the Night Haunts. I mean, It's not super usable. You get a black coach, and you get some spirit hosts, and then you get a bunch of other stuff that are basically more spirit hosts, or even Karen wraiths. So you could definitely put a lot of this towards a vampire counts army. Yeah, I should have said that this would be vampire counts, but I don't think it's a very good, really reasonable or sensible way to build one. This is a case where you'd have no real use for her. It's like last year with the death rattle, or whatever they're called, the vampire counts, but like skeletons version of Age of Sigmar. That box set I picked up, tons of skeletons, tons of zombies. There was other stuff in it, I forget what, but the main character it gave you was this like half vampire, half dragon person. I mean, I still haven't even built it. It's just a sprue somewhere. I don't even know where. In just a box of sprues, because I don't need it. I have no interest in painting it, really. It's a neat enough model, but it hasn't struck my fancy to dig it out and build it to paint. So yeah, I mean, this one here, you would be selling this person. You could probably keep the black coach. I don't see any reason you couldn't use that. So there's your spirit hosts. That's 3 spirit hosts, I believe. And then keep like 5 of these as Karen wraiths. Maybe keep an extra 5. I don't know. Make an extra spirit host and use 1 or 2 of these as the hero version of the Karen wraith. I don't know. Just like you could use some of it, but I think unless you really just want a ton of spirit hosts and you just like multi-base these guys, there's no real reason to get this. It's not really good value because you're gonna have to sell a bunch of it. You'd be selling at least 5 or 10 extra dudes, maybe 15. You'd be selling her. It'd be easier and cheaper probably just to go get the stuff you want. And next, you got the Sylvaneth Revenant Wargrove. This one here, this one's not too bad, but you'd be building a very specific army, and it would be a very Age of Sigmar looking style. Right off the bat, this year, you're going to sell this, I think, unless you want to use it as a ancient tree man or something, but there's already 2 tree men. You really don't need 3, I wouldn't think. So I would probably say sell this, but everything else can be kept. And I would think that running 16 dryads is a good start for a wood elf army. I would run these guys as treekin. So 2 units of 5 treekin. It's not, you know, exactly what they're supposed to look like, but I also think this is the kind of thing that if 10 years ago someone had converted treekin to look like ghostly elves coming out of like trees and said these are my treekin, the internet, the community would have like gushed over that. So you'd basically get some salty players right now that would not like this, but again, if somebody converted it, it would definitely be a popular conversion. People would think it was great. There was a lot of really great conversions back then that kind of leaned a little bit towards what Age of Sigmar would become. And I don't know if that's what something GW themselves noticed and just sort of copied what they were seeing other people including and then getting praised for, or if it was just straight up coincidence. But again, treekin, 2 units of 5, tree man ancient. Do that as either just a level 4 wizard, do it as Durthu, do it as just a straight up tree lord. And then you got your what do they call it? I already forgot their names. The dryads. So that's a core. And yeah, it's a really kind of a weird mix of units for wood elves, but I do at the same time think it's a very cool looking beginning to a wood elf army. And then you just add some elves. They're already a hard army to collect anyways because so much stuff is missing. So this is kind of a nice way to get started with them, I would think. The last one are Thunderstrike, Spearhead, Stormcast Eternals. You can't use it. I mean, I am sure somebody has done a really cool Warriors of Chaos conversion army with these guys. I think they would make really cool Warriors of Chaos. At least some of them. I think some of them are a bit too big. But I mean, if you could get these guys onto 25mm square bases and ranked up, I think some of these would look really cool as like a Slaanesh Warriors of Chaos. Sigvald, I think his name is, the Slaanesh special character. He is Sigvald, the ridiculously good looking, and he walks around in golden armor. I think having a unit at least sort of, you know, his own personal bodyguard of chosen. These guys could be super cool. But again, this is not this is not how I would do it. I would just buy some whatever they're called. What are these guys called? Stormcast. I keep forgetting their names. Yeah, I would just buy some Stormcast Eternals and do that myself. And otherwise, yeah, I would pass on this. They're nice models, but they're pretty much useless. Maybe some of these could be found. These dragons, they might have some use in fantasy, but again, not the way I would get them. So yeah, those are the battle forces that are going to be available. I still haven't seen when they're coming out, and I checked a couple of times. I never saw them go up for pre-order. I can't find anything on them on the website. There's nothing here that's very clear about when they're coming. So maybe after the Guard, maybe they'll be up for pre-order this weekend. I wouldn't be surprised if they wanted to wait for the Guard pre-orders to go out of the warehouse and out of the system, because those were a 2-week pre-order window for the big new box. And speaking of, I will be doing an unboxing for that. I ordered 2 boxes of the new Guard Cadia Stand set, or whatever it's called, because I want the new minis. I'll probably keep one of the books, sell the other, and I'll do a video on that at some point here very soon. I should get more videos out this week, other than Tuesday when I have a parent-teacher night I need to attend. And I think it's actually taking place sort of just like right after school anyways, so not a big deal. I shouldn't have too busy of an evening that day anyways. Yeah, pretty much open week for me. I can get back to this now. And hopefully people found this video helpful. Again, I think the Skaven are the winners. You go for them. And otherwise, I do think the Revenant Wargrove and the Stampeding Squigalanch, those are both probably very usable if you're going to play Wood Elves or Orcs respectively. And the Legion of Grief and the Cainite Slaughter Coven, you might be able to justify them. Definitely the Cainites are higher on the list of ones you can justify, but again, you're going to be selling off at least 1 unit that's in that box, and you're not getting much out of it. So anyways, thanks very much for watching. I'm going to end it right there, get this trimmed down, and start posting it up. And thanks for watching. Have yourselves a great day.